HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents How to Make It in the New Music Business, 3rd edition. Practical Tips on Building a Loyal Following and Making a Living as a Musician by Ari Herstand. Read by Ari Herstand. For Sarah. Preface to the 3rd edition. So, what has changed since the 2nd edition of How to Make It in the New Music Business? COVID. But more specifically, what has shifted in the music industry over the past 3 years, and what have I added to this new edition? Well, for one, TikTok launched global superstars such as Lil Nas X, Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, and Olivia Rodrigo, not to mention the countless other independent artists who saw massive success from the short-form video social network. I will go deep into all things TikTok, how you can be successful on the platform, how others have been successful, how TikTok has altered the global music industry, and where this is all heading. Independent artists and labels continue to grab a bigger piece of the recorded music revenue pie, and because the majors are losing so much of their market share, they're now offering artists record deals that were unthinkable just 3 years ago. I will discuss many of these deals, how they went down, and how you can prepare to receive them yourself. Of course, with the entire live music industry shut down for most of 2020 and much of 2021, artists had to get creative, and to make up for this lost revenue from performance fees and ticket and merch sales, which of course drives the majority of most performing artists' income streams, most took to live streaming. New platforms popped up left and right, offering both ticketed and free live-streamed events with lots of monetization possibilities. Since March 2020, there have been over 100,000 live-streamed concerts across all platforms. So get ready for an entire new section that addresses how to live stream effectively on any platform and breaks down the exact strategies used by the most successful live streamers in the world. Whereas in the past I've focused mainly on the American music industry, this edition goes global. The book has been translated into multiple languages and has been kindly adopted by universities worldwide. So, no matter where you live, I'll explain how best to collect all of your royalties, tour your region, and build a worldwide fan base. And in case it wasn't clear in previous editions, I know there are many jobs in the music industry other than recording artist, and this book can be useful for you no matter what career you'd like to pursue in music. But to give some more practical direction to the non-musicians and music business students, I heard you, Professor. I've added an extensive chapter on the many other careers that exist in the industry. Of course, now that NFTs, crypto, and the blockchain have dominated the conversation and injected millions into the music ecosystem, I spend quite a bit of ink discussing all things crypto. And if this sentence just made your head spin and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I got you. Keep listening. What else? Release strategies have evolved. Email, DMing, and text message etiquette have all evolved. Social media advertising and influencer marketing have exploded. TikTokers became a thing. Instagrammers became less of a thing. Success on Twitch became a thing. Twitter and Snapchat became more niche. And Meta, Facebook, whatever, Zuck. Press isn't what it once was. There is now an entirely new strategy on how and why to approach media and press. The Music Modernization Act in the US finally got implemented, and the Mechanical Licensing Collective, MLC, began collecting and distributing hundreds of millions of dollars in mechanical royalties to publishers and songwriters. I discuss what all the new revenue streams are and how to make sure you're grabbing all of the money out there that's owed to you. This 3rd edition is far more extensively updated than the previous one, with new amendments in every chapter. Over the past year, I conducted over 100 interviews with the movers and shakers of the industry. Many you can hear as part of my new podcast, The New Music Business. I've continued to keep up with the goings-on in the industry, so you don't have to, and have tried to stay ahead of the curve. I've added newer, smarter, more efficient techniques that others have utilized successfully, and am thrilled to share a bunch of recent examples of independent artists kicking butt on their own and how they're doing it. So, even if you've devoured the first two editions 10 times over, I encourage you to spend some time with this new edition. As for me, I launched a 1970s funk soul immersive concert experience with my project Grassroots District, released my first solo album in 7 years, and ran the Uncanceled Music Festival, which raised over $100,000 in 10 days for hundreds of musicians and venues in the weeks directly following the live music shutdown. I got a crash course in politics when I helped change and rewrite California's gig worker law AB 5 by lobbying politicians, negotiating with unions and lawyers, and appearing on news programs across the country. I ran the 3-day, 4-night songwriting camp and conference SongCon in New York City, hosting songwriters from all over the world. I developed and launched a handful of new courses for Ari's Take Academy, which now has over 5,000 students, crossed 100 episodes on the New Music Business podcast, and I got married. I'm staying active in music so I don't lose touch, and because, well, it's my entire life and my soul won't allow me to do anything else, and I am keeping up with the ever-evolving landscape so I can help guide today's musicians. Wherever you are at on your journey, you now have a partner along the way. We're all in this together. August 2022. Author's note. Before you dig in, I need to point out that everything in this book is based on my own experiences or what I've learned from others in the biz. And even though things worked out a certain way for me and others I reference in this book, results may vary. Also, I'm a musician, not a lawyer. Please don't use this book as a guide to drafting contracts or navigating legal matters. It's not meant for that. Definitely consult an attorney for all legal issues you may have, and be sure to check out some words of caution and other stuff you really need to hear at the end. Also, without fail, things in the music industry will have changed by the time you're listening to this. Companies may get acquired, laws may get passed, revelations may be made. Introduction. January 15th, 2008 was the greatest day of my life. It was the day I walked into the Minneapolis City Center Starbucks, shook my manager's hand, handed him my green apron, and made my final triple tall, non-fat, with whip caramel macchiato. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't tell my shift supervisor off or chuck an iced pomegranate green tea in his face like I had dreamed of many a time. There wasn't a big send-off, no parade down First Avenue. My manager asked me what I was going to do. I told him that I was a musician and that I was going to make it. He thanked me for my work and told me that there would always be an apron with my name on it if I needed. Luckily, I never did. Well, actually, luck had nothing to do with it. People always ask successful musicians what their lucky break was, and most don't have an answer. They mention a few instances here and there that, in retrospect, were turning points or little victories, but very seldom do you hear, "We were playing the fine line, and after the show, a bald man in a suit came up to us, handed us a record contract, and told us it was our lucky day." That is what everyone outside the music industry expects. No one really understands the music business. The songwriting process eludes people, but even more so, the business confuses the hell out of everyone, musicians included. I had been fortunate enough to take to the business early on. I went to the University of Minnesota as a music education and classical trumpet major. Since 8th grade band class, I thought I wanted to be a high school band director, like Mr. Saltzman, whom I wrote a song about on my first record. But my freshman year of college, that all changed. I had been in a ska, funk, rock, jam, pop band. We had an identity crisis. More on that later. All 4 years of high school. I mostly played trumpet and sang backups. All 6 of us went on to different colleges around the country. I was the only one who ended up in Minnesota. The first week of school in my dorm, when everyone's door was closed, I planted myself in the floor's lounge with my acoustic guitar and started riffing. Someone walked by, poked her head in and said, "That's cool," then walked off. That song turned into one of the first I ever wrote, Rose Stained Red, I wrote a bunch of songs those first few weeks on piano and guitar. I spent more time in the practice space of the music building writing songs than practicing my trumpet. When a group of friends and I stopped into the European Grind coffee shop on campus where a singer songwriter happened to be performing, I asked the barista if I could get a gig. He opened up the calendar book and said, "How about October 12th? You get all the coffee you can drink." My roommate, who was also a music major, we lived in the arts dorm, had a super fancy digital camera. He took a photo of me playing guitar, and I printed up a bunch of 8.5 by 11 black and white flyers and put them all over the music building and my dorm. My very first concert, as a singer songwriter, at the European Grind was packed with about 35 people. My roommate, a cellist, performed the show with me and recorded it on his mini disc recorder. For those of you who have no idea what that is, it was like the Talkboy in Home Alone 2, except it ran on a digital mini disc instead of a cassette and was much better quality. These were hot for about 27 months. Listening back to the show, I realized I didn't suck too bad. Everyone there seemed to enjoy themselves, and the manager of the European Grind asked me back. A few months later, I found myself in the music section of a Barnes & Noble, staring at the bright, yellow, All You Need to Know About the Music Business book by Donald Passman. I bought it and finished it that week. I had found my calling. I sat my parents down that spring and told them that I was not going to be a band director, and I was not going to finish at the University of Minnesota. I had found a contemporary music industry school in St. Paul and told my parents I was going to transfer there. With credits transferring, I got in and out in 3 consecutive semesters, 1 science credit away from an associate degree in music business, from a school which has since gone under. While at the music industry school, I worked my ass off. I never skipped a class, I was never late, even to the 9 a.m. 3-hour music economics class. I went to office hours of all my teachers. They were all musicians or ex-industry heads, not sure if I can call them professors. Contrast that with my music education studies at the University of Minnesota, where I skipped half my classes, rolled into my 8 a.m. classical music history lecture well into the Baroque era hung over, and cheated off my roommate on virtually every test. When I graduated in August of 2005, I got to work on my first solo album. In December of that year, I released it to 250 people at the Varsity Theater in Minneapolis. I became a force on the University of Minnesota campus. From sometime around that CD release show to when I left Minneapolis for LA in 2010, I was one of the most popular musicians on campus and in the Twin Cities. The U had about 40,000 undergraduate students, so it wasn't a bad market to start with. However, the music editor for the Minnesota Daily wasn't feeling what I was putting out. He wrote 3 hate pieces on me in 1 semester. He despised my presence so much that in the fall of 2008, he listed me in the top 3 worst bands of Minneapolis. I was number 1. Ironically, the top 3 best bands broke up shortly thereafter, and the worst 3 bands all went on to have successful careers. He then wrote a scathing album review of my 2008 release, which garnered some of the most comments of any Minnesota Daily article on the website. And finally, I made the cover of the December Joke Edition next to Lindsay Lohan and the president of the University of Minnesota. My headline: Surgeons attempt to reattach local musicians' balls fails. As these articles were pouring out from the desk of a writer who will go unnamed, I was filling the 800-seat Varsity Theater, had just opened for Ben Folds in front of 3,200 people, and had begun a massive college tour that paid incredibly well. I had received about 30 other positive reviews that year in papers around the country, but of course, I can pretty much recite the Minnesota Daily's hate pieces word for word. Managing my career all on my own from the beginning, booking 100% of my non-college shows and tours, we'll get to college agents in Chapter 9, getting songs placed on multiple TV shows, and starting an artist development company where I helped manage another Minneapolis band, I became the go-to person in the Minneapolis music scene for music business advice. I moved from Minneapolis to LA in the summer of 2010. I had done all I could in Minneapolis. The scene was imploding on itself, and some of my favorite bands were breaking up. I needed a change. I didn't choose LA because of the industry, however, it didn't hurt. I chose it because of the winters. Many of you are listening to this book because you've read some Ari's Take articles. I started Ari's Take for the same reason I wrote this book, to help musicians succeed in the music industry. And regardless of whether you want to be a musician or not, everyone working in the new music business needs to put themselves in the modern musician's shoes. Artists and songwriters are at the heart of the music industry. If you don't understand what we go through, you won't be effective no matter what lane you choose to pursue in the industry. Chapter 16 is wholly devoted to the various professions one can pursue in the music industry other than recording artist. There are over 100. But for the majority of this book, whenever I say you, pretend you're an artist or manager, or need to assist one, because at some point, on some level, everyone working in music does. Over the course of my music career, I've had to learn everything the hard way. My education at the music industry school was great. I learned how things used to work in the music business. I got some great history. But I realized very quickly that the old tactics and ways of the biz don't work in today's industry. We're in a very exciting time. In 2021, DIY self-released artists earned more than $1.5 billion just from recorded music alone. And Spotify reported that in 2021, over 16,500 artists made over $50,000 just from Spotify revenue. These numbers showcase that it's not just a few anomalies, but a global trend. Never before in the history of the modern music industry have independent musicians been able to sustain healthy, long-term careers on their own without the help of a record label. Every day, the path to success is being realized on roads not yet paved. Ingrid Michaelson cracked the Billboard Hot 100, has been certified platinum, and consistently performs for thousands a night around the world. She has self-released every digital song and album since day one. Ron Pope also self-releases his music and has over 1 billion streams from over 2 million monthly listeners and plays sold-out venues around the world. Amanda Palmer broke a Kickstarter record when she made $1.2 million on her campaign. She has since made over $1.6 million directly from her fans via Patreon and currently receives over $50,000 a month from her fans on the platform. Chance the Rapper's music has been streamed over 5 billion times. He was number 7 on the Forbes 30 Under 30 music list for 2015. And he made history as the first artist without a label to play Saturday Night Live and win the Grammy for Best New Artist. Lauv also has over 5 billion streams, cracked the Billboard 200 and the Billboard Hot 100, has been certified platinum, and headlined arenas all across Asia and has performed on The Tonight Show. Brent Faiyaz has over 10 million monthly listeners, has made it on the Billboard Hot 100, and has been certified multi-platinum. Tom Misch has gotten over 500 million streams with 4 million monthly listeners and performed at Coachella Music Festival in 2018. Rehab has over 18 million monthly listeners and performed at the Electric Daisy Carnival EDC Festival. Blau made over $11 million on his NFT drops in early 2021. RAC made more money from his fans via Twitch and Patreon in 2020 than he had projected to make from his full nationwide tour, canceled because of COVID-19, and has made $1 million to date on his NFT drops. Lucidius has over 200 million streams and 500,000 monthly listeners without any of his songs on official Spotify playlists. Lil Pump made over $500,000 in 2 hours from 859 investors from his new single Mona Lisa featuring Soulja Boy via a blockchain-powered crypto investment and NFT platform. The investors not only own an NFT, but will receive royalties from the single. Zoe Keating's music has been featured in countless commercials, TV shows, video games, and films. She reached number 1 on the Billboard classical charts. Peter Hollins built a video empire, amassing over 2.7 million YouTube subscribers, 1 million Facebook followers, 3 million TikTok likes, and over a billion total views without ever leaving home. He now runs his own record label. Scott Bradley, with his musical collective Postmodern Jukebox, PMJ, has over 5.5 million YouTube subscribers and 2 billion views. PMJ tours the theaters of the world with multiple rotating casts, sometimes performing in different cities on the same night. UK-based singer-songwriter Dodie created a massive following on YouTube with her quirky songs and personality. She cracked the Billboard 200 and 10 other Billboard charts, and now has over 2 million YouTube subscribers, 500,000 TikTok followers, 1 million Twitter followers, and 1 million Instagram followers, with 500 million collective views, and sells out headlining shows around the world. Justin Vibes consistently goes viral on TikTok playing the vibraphone. He now has over 8.5 million followers, 105 million likes, and a healthy revenue stream from sponsorship and brand deals. The Puerto Rican hip-hop artist Bad Bunny initially gained popularity on SoundCloud, but quickly found mainstream success collaborating with Cardi B and Drake. He performed at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show and has gone platinum multiple times, topped the Billboard 200 and Hot 100, and has billions of streams from around 50 million monthly listeners. Joey Badass initially went viral on YouTube with a freestyle rap. He has collaborated with Mac Miller, Action Bronson, and Kendrick Lamar, hit the Billboard R&B hip-hop albums chart, and has 7 million monthly listeners and over 500 million streams. Mothica built up a dedicated following on TikTok, releasing regular, candid videos. One of those videos featuring a new song went viral, with thousands of people using the song in their own TikTok videos. She now has over 2 million monthly listeners and runs her own record label. Claire Means reached #1 on the iTunes singer-songwriter charts, was once the most popular musician on the now defunct live streaming app Periscope, and currently makes a good living live streaming. Vo Williams has over 1,500 placements of his original music in film, TV, and video games, and had his music used as the season theme songs for both the Milwaukee Bucks and Tampa Bay Lightning the years they won championships. He now runs his own sync licensing company. Wolfpack has millions of streams, performed on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and sells out headlining shows all over the world, including Madison Square Garden. The husband and wife duo, ACS, play to 40,000 people every month on the live streaming platform Twitch, and have become one of the most successful music channels on the platform. They earn more now from their live stream community than their previous full-time 9-to-5 jobs combined. They raised nearly $50,000 on Kickstarter for their 2021 album, and have hundreds of Patreon supporters who pay them a flat amount each month on top of their 2,000 subs on Twitch. The thing that all these artists have in common is that they created their own musical career path and refused to follow the traditional method of signing to a major label, surrendering their fate to the powers that be. These artists aren't household names, but they are making it work, and making it work well. Your Uncle Joe will continue to ask you when you're going to try out for the latest singing contest TV show. Your seatmate on the plane will ask you when they're going to hear you on the radio. Your parents will ask when you're going to grow up and get a real job, because they don't understand this new world. Making it in the new music business is not about lucky breaks. It's about hard work. If you want to succeed in music, you have to work harder than everyone else. You have to want it more than everyone else. If you want to make a living in music, you're going to need to be comfortable doing multiple kinds of jobs that may not fall rigidly in line with your vision as it is now. When musicians tell me, "But I just want to write songs and play music, I don't want to do any of this business stuff," I want to scream, "Yeah, me too." I didn't get good at the business because I love it. I got good at the business side of my music career because I believe in my art so much that I knew if I didn't, I wouldn't succeed. No one is going to handle your business for you, at least not yet. And even when managers, labels, attorneys, agents, and sponsors do start knocking, you should know what to expect of them. You should know where they all fit into your business. Never hand off part of your business to someone just because they ask. Hand off part of your career when you have to, when it's more than you can handle, when you know exactly what needs to get done, how it needs to get done, but just don't have the time or resources to do it yourself. Eventually, you will be at a point where people are pounding down your door begging to work with you. By that point, you will know where you could use some help and what to pass off. But you'll also have a strong handle on how to run your business on your own. You will always be the one in control. You make all the decisions. Never forget that your team works for you. Without you, they have nothing. But you're a long way from a team. You have to build up the demand first. The days of the big break are pretty much over. A music career is now a slow, progressive, upward slope. If you persevere, you will eventually be able to sustain a comfortable lifestyle, earning your income from doing something you love. If you're looking for quick fame and instant success, you're in the wrong field. There are a lot easier ways to get famous. Go make a sex tape or something. This book is intended to give you the concrete steps you should take to rise to a level of success where you are making a good living doing what you love. You can get there. It won't be easy, but if you love it enough and work hard enough, it will happen. I will show you how. 1. Why music? For love, or money, or sex? It was never about fame back then. We just thought about what gave us goosebumps. Quincy Jones. Music is not different from life. I think that's probably the greatest attraction to those of us who play music. Herbie Hancock. If you're a songwriter, you're always writing songs. It's not a choice you have. It's an affliction. Chris Stapleton. If you don't love the process and you're only looking for the success of it, then I guarantee that the success will never come. Because you gotta aim at what's in front of you in the moment. David Hodges, 60 million albums sold. Before you invest every last penny of your savings, destroy your relationships and hop in a van with 4 other smelly dudes or dudettes for 2 months, step back and ask yourself why you want to be a musician. This may seem like a dumb question at first glance, but it's the most important one you will ever ask yourself, and it will define the course of your life. Because I love music is not the answer you're looking for. I love Thai food, but I don't want to eat it every day for the rest of my life. A music career, unlike most other careers in the world, requires more than just a passing enjoyment. A music career requires a passion like no other. A drive that will sustain you through the months of eating PB&J and begging your landlord for a break on this month's rent. After seeing the 2001 Cameron Crowe film Almost Famous, I thought a music career was all parties, tour buses, band-aids who looked like Kate Hudson, and sold-out arena shows. Who wouldn't want to be a musician if that was the life? The reality is, a music career can have these perks, but most of the time, it entails working 16-hour days, skipping the parties to book a tour or practice your instrument, trekking through blizzards to put up posters for your shows, convincing your friends to pay $10 for an 11:30 p.m. 25-minute set at a dingy bar on a Tuesday, soliciting playlisters and influencers on Instagram and TikTok, and spending hours tweaking your social media ads to lower your cost per click. But it will all be worth it when you step out on stage to a packed house or 25 minutes of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?